Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to yet another video. For those of you who are new here, hello, my name is Nicole, and I like to come on here once a week and just share messages of guidance for the collective, either using cards or intuitively, or just sharing messages that I've been guided to share. So for today's message, I felt the urge to pick some cards and already had a bit of an idea of what kind of message was going to come through. And just to give you some context here, as we recently being just this Friday, had a very interesting astrological alignment, but also just interesting numerology date-wise, in that we had the 1st of November being 111, triple one. And it was quite powerful in that this 1st of November actually fell on a Scorpio full moon. And now, what most people need to understand about Scorpio is the archetype and the energy that Scorpio brings is all about diving deep beneath the surface. And Scorpio is a very sort of healing archetype and healing energy, but sometimes, we don't like to admit it, but healing is messy. And especially when we're healing those really broken part of ourselves, Scorpio really kind of comes out and forces us to look beneath the surface, forces us to go looking into the depths of the darkness. Scorpio is related with the occult, and the occult really just means that which is hidden. And so there is a lot of information that has been hidden from the collective, as we are seeing a lot of chaos taking place in the world at the moment. And this is because we are being revealed many truths. A lot of information that was hidden is coming to the surface. And as much as this is happening on a collective level, the reason why this is happening on a collective level is because this is happening on an individual level. And for a few years now, we've been seeing a lot of people who have been more and more people sort of going into the healing journey. And the healing journey is a big part of sort of wanting to know ourselves better. And this is where shadow work comes to play a very important role. And what is shadow work exactly? Shadow work is really about looking to those parts of ourselves that we've wanted to sort of bury away, and we've wanted to push underneath the carpet and push to the furthest, sort of back as parts of our minds, because we just didn't have the tools to deal with those negative and sort of traumatic experiences that we've had throughout our lives. And I think by now many of you have heard me say this, is that when we are holding on to all of these energies and all of these traumas that sit within our body as very dense, heavy energies that make it very difficult for us to move, make it very difficult for us to think, make it very difficult for us to take action, because we are stuck in a certain energy. First of all, most of humanity has been stuck in a state of survival. And so when we are in that state of survival, it is very difficult for us to think rationally, logically, or even, see things for what they really are, because we're always looking at the world through the lens of that veil of illusion, through that veil of survival and fear, and how am I going to keep moving forward. And so what Scorpio energy is coming to do is, because all of those traumas that we carry sit heavily within our body, adding fuel to fire. What's happened is that with Scorpio energy, and this is a theme that we've been seeing sort of playing out since 2020, whereby a lot of people have been forced to go inwards. And what most people tend to forget is that when we're always in this go, 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 always moving forward, always busy, busy, we don't have time to think, and we don't have time to feel, and we don't have time to actually question, is what I'm doing good for me, or am I sort of moving down the wrong road or heading in the wrong direction, because I'm just in the state of survival and stress and constant just go, go, go. And why most of us also find ourselves in this go, 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 rush, 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 do, 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 is because we don't want to stop and think. We don't want to stop and feel, because that would just be too overwhelming. And so what's happened is, because so many of us, the state of the world is only where it is today as a result of all of us being traumatized and carrying very heavy and dense energies, and all kind of being in the state of survival, and all kind of being in the state of looking more for the negative than the positive. And as a result of that, what happens is that the world that we are creating around us through all the small actions and decisions that we are taking throughout our days and throughout our lives, what happens is that we create a world of chaos. We create a world that is built on the wrong foundation, on the wrong structure. And this is what is happening in the world today, is that this world that has been built on a foundation of greed and shame and guilt and perversion and taking away people's free will, and taking away people's freedoms, and taking away people's powers, and taking away people's spiritual liberation. And all of these things have created the world that we find ourselves in today. And we can all stop and question how are we going to change the world? And I don't know whether this is a question that is on everybody's minds, but I can say that this is a question that I have always contemplated from a young age, because I would remember, asking my father all kinds of questions about the world, because I just couldn't understand this place which is so strange, and why people are so mean to each other, and why there can't be more love, and why there can't be more harmony, and why they can't be just more collaboration and union and beauty and ease. And the reason is because, well, we have been programmed into this state of survival. This system has pushed us all beyond the brink of what is, sort of physically capable for our human beings. And so now what's happening, especially with these astrological alignments, is it's kind of forcing people to take a break, and it's forcing people to kind of stop and pay attention to what is going on within them. Because if there is one theme that I've been hearing quite continuously coming from sort of everyone that I'm speaking to, is that these past few years, and this year especially, has been a very difficult year, because a lot of truths that we were able to sort of push back and ignore and shun and pretend weren't happening, well, it's kind of like all of these things have hit us in the face and kind of forced us to look at why we're not happy with our lives, or why we're not where we wished that we were, and why we're not living a life of joy and freedom. And it seems that those people who are strong out there have been able to take the steps to be able to start changing their reality, getting rid of the things that don't work for them, getting rid of the things that don't serve them, changing the aspects of their lives that they don't like, starting to take work on themselves, putting up boundaries, walking away from those relationships that haven't served you, walking away from the jobs that don't make you happy, and just really having this period to be able to look into our lives and really question, well, is this really what I want to continue moving forward with? Because the reason why people feel heavy and have difficulty taking action and moving forward and making those decisions is because they're so weighed down with the weight of all these burdens of their past traumas and their suppressed emotions and their repressed thoughts, and all of these things that we repress and suppress, because, well, society is constantly reflecting back to us that it is not okay for us to feel the things that we are feeling. And so essentially, Scorpio is a water energy, and water is all to do with emotions. And what have we been doing in society for as far back as we can remember is repressing and suppressing all those negative emotions, because it is not acceptable for us to feel angry. It is not acceptable for us to feel shame. It is not acceptable for us to feel guilt. It is not okay for us to feel all these plethora of negative emotions that we run away from, because what most people tend to forget is that our emotions and our thoughts, because most of us are hardwired in negative thinking, and when we are thinking negatively, what happens is we generate negative emotions, and the emotions, we feel them in our body. And so, because those negative emotions feel negative within our body, they bring up all kinds of negative feelings and things that don't feel so pleasant. And because we're not equipped, or we don't want to deal with all those negative feelings, because we have trained our mind so well to say, I don't want to feel all of this. And whenever these feelings come up, I'm going to shove them to the back of the carpet, and I'm going to pick up whatever coping mechanism it is that I've developed in order to help me deal with these emotions that I don't know what to do with. And so the thing is, we have to remember that emotions are a feeling, are a felt experience. But because we don't want to feel anything negative, because society has programmed us into only feeling the good stuff. And the thing is, when too much of the good stuff is never good for us. And so by constantly thinking that we have to think positively, and that we can only attach to our positive thoughts, and that we have to do absolutely everything within our power to shun the negative feelings and the negative thoughts and the negative things in our lives, hoping that they're just going to disappear on their own. And that's just not the way the world works. And so everything that has been happening now energetically has been forcing us to deal with our stuff. And how this has been happening is that it has been forcing the darkest aspects of ourselves, that the shadow aspects, all the things that we don't want to see, all those things that we kind of know are there, but where we say, you know what, I'm just not going to deal with this, I'm just going to forget about it and really hope that it goes away. And that's what is happening, both on an individual level as well as a collective level, which is why we are seeing all of these stories playing out on the global arena, because there are so many things that have been hidden. And is eventually, when you hide something, you're gonna have to find it, you're gonna have to deal with it, you're gonna have to remember that you hid it. And this is what is happening, is that these energies are bringing all of these hidden thoughts, hidden feelings, hidden behaviors, hidden patterns, hidden whatever it is that that has been hidden from you, is being forced to come to the surface so that we can heal. And this is the first card that came out. We have Chiron with heal, and the energy here is 28, bringing it to a 10, bringing it to a 1. So again, coming back to that date of 1st of November, because remember, the first one in numerology is all about leadership, but it is also about new beginnings. And so you essentially have been asked to heal yourself so that you can take leadership over this new beginning that is being granted to you by the universe, that is being granted to all of us as humanity. We are being gifted the opportunity to start over, but the only way that we can start over is by starting over with ourselves and implanting strong foundations, and creating from a place of stability, of support. Because if it really, it all stems back from childhood trauma. And whether you want to admit it or not, you were traumatized as a child. And we have to remember that trauma looks different in children than it does in adults. But any kind of experience can be traumatic if it creates a surge of negative emotions within you, and you don't know what to do with those emotions. That is essentially trauma. It is an overload of energy to your nervous system, of what can be perceived as negative energy. It is too much low vibrational dense energy that is hitting your nervous system all at once, and therefore pulling you down. And this is why trauma can affect different people in a plethora of different ways, because we are all uniquely different. And so what Chiron, the archetype of Chiron, which is a celestial body, which is an asteroid, is about the wounded healer. And so we all came here to heal ourselves. That is the purpose of our souls incarnating upon the planet. It is for us to learn about all kinds of sort of shadow aspects without ourselves so that we can heal and elevate. And as they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And this is essentially what is happening, is that Chiron is here to help us look back on our past and to reflect back on all the difficult hardships and negative experiences that we had, because these all actually serve to strengthen us and to elevate us. When we go through hardships, we are forced to elevate. We are forced to challenge ourselves and go against, when everything is easy and soft, then we don't grow, we don't expand, we don't elevate. And what is happening now, many of you might have heard it, that we are shifting from 3D consciousness into 5D consciousness, and 5D consciousness is just being more aware of the non-tangible aspects within ourselves. And a big part of that are our thoughts and our emotions, because we have to remember that whilst we are physical human beings, what animates this physical vessel is non-tangible. What activates and gets this physical aspect of me moving are my thoughts and my emotions, but most importantly, my spirit. And what we tend to forget is that when we are incarnated on this planet and we are embodied in physical form, it is like we go through amnesia and we forget who we truly are, because who we truly are is not this physical body. Not to say that we are not our body, because yes, we absolutely are our body, but we have to remember that what is controlling this body is the soul, is the spirit, and the soul and the spirit have lived for millennia. You are an ancient being, but we forget when we are incarnated. And so we develop our conscious mind, and this is what the system does. It develops our conscious mind and therefore develops our belief system and develops the way we govern our lives and we control our bodies and we take actions in the world and we create, because we are constantly creating the world around us. But when our foundation is one of fear and one of I'm not good enough and one of I'm a useless human being and I don't have anything to contribute to the world and I must only exist within this box, well, what happens is that we are not creating from a place of authenticity. And everything that is taking place in the world at this time, both energetically and physically, is serving to help us remember who our authentic self is, who we are at the soul level. And we are powerful beings. But of course, if you lose all your memory, because they say we are the sum total of all of our memories and experiences, but if you have forgotten all of your memories and experiences, then you have no idea who the fuck you are, and of course you're walking around lost and confused. And so what the mission and the purpose of you being incarnated in this life, in the world at this time, is for you to remember your authentic self and essentially to bring your divine aspects down into this physical realm and create like the God that you are, because we are all gods. And if you get offended by that statement, I'm sorry, this message is clearly not for you. But we are creator gods. Remember, we were created in the image of the gods because we were brought down here initially to create paradise on this planet. And we have to remember that before we are traumatized, every single child that is born into this world is born, with the same purity in their hearts. But over time, because of their experiences, they become corrupted. And that is what has happened, is that many of us have become corrupted because we have been fucking traumatized by this world and this system that is not promoting us to live through our soul aspects, which is one of love and joy and harmony and freedom and bounteousness and beauty and justice and togetherness. And these are the main energies that characterize the human being. But because this system has been taken over and we have been programmed to be in our lower nature, because we have not been given the opportunity to heal, we are creating from a place of trauma. And so now we are really being encouraged to heal all of these hurt aspects of ourselves, so that when we heal our demons, we heal our darkness, we integrate these aspects of ourselves and no longer shun them but recognize them for the fact that we were hurt. And hurt people, but hurt people create a very hurt world, and we are living in a world of so much hurt. Because when I look around me and I see how people are operating, so many people are just in so much pain, whether this is emotionally, mentally, physically, or spiritually. And the reason why people are in so much pain is because they have totally severed from their spiritual selves, and they have forgotten how to love and nurture themselves. And this is essentially what the patriarchal system that has been in existence for far too long. And this is not against men. This is about masculine energy. I'm talking very much about energy here, because remember, energy is what controls the physical realm. And the energy is existent within each and every one of us. And we have both masculine and feminine energies within us. But what we have to remember is that the feminine energy is the energies of harmony, love, beauty, nurturing, righteousness, divinity, justice. All of these things that I have highlighted, these are all feminine qualities, and all of these things have been shunned within our societies for so long. And so what is happening now, because what we are also seeing is the rise of the divine feminine energy, which is why we are seeing a rise in Mother Africa. Because remember, we talk about Mother Africa. Africa is at the center of this earth. All the resources predominantly in the world were placed here in Africa, and the role of the African people is as protectors, because the Africans are very powerful within their spiritual abilities. And this is what has been removed from us. And this is why Africa is also going through a deep time of healing, because as we are literally seeing colonization 2.0 take place on the planet right now within the African context, what is happening is that this is bringing up a lot of old wounds, forcing us to have conversations that were never had before, but also forcing us to look at the wounds that needed to be healed. Because there has been so much plight in terms of people's indigenous freedoms being taken away. And this is not only on the African continent, but this is across the globe. If we look back throughout history over the, I don't know how many past hundreds of years, what we've essentially been seeing is a suppression of the indigenous way of life, where, and this goes again across the board in all different cultures, where it's almost like the traditional indigenous cultures were demonized, only wanting to adopt these Western ideologies, which we have seen globalized throughout the world today, which is why, the whole world has become so similar in an essence, is because we have been becoming more and more similar through our ideologies, which are these Western ideologies. And so we are being called to heal and to connect with our most authentic indigenous self, and to honor who we truly are, to honor our ancestors and their traditional ways of doing things. Because if we look back throughout history, all cultures were so much more advanced than we are today. And this is because we have totally omitted our indigenous and traditional ways. So the next card we have is Conjunction Alliance, and the numerology is 6. So in 6 numerology, again, I relate it to sort of Venus energy. It is about Isis energy. It is about the divine feminine energies. It is about nurturing and healing and collaboration. And so here, when the message we have is Conjunction Alliance. And essentially in astrology, a conjunction relates to a it's a positive energy. It's when two planets are essentially one on top of the other, or in perfect alignment, therefore bringing strength to one another. As we have, when you bring two elements together, and when you are using both both all the positive aspects of both of these planets and bringing them together. But as we bring the positive, of course the negative comes together. But essentially what we are being asked here is to come into alliance. And this, because obviously I am here in Kenya sharing these messages, and I've been following very closely what is going on in Kenya right now, and what I'm seeing is extremely spiritual, because it is like, Kenya is going through a deep spiritual awakening. And when I see all these people who are beginning to remember, and especially when I see people starting to return more to their traditional ways, and we're seeing this a lot with, I've been seeing this a lot on TikTok popping up, as I'm getting so much Kikuyu traditional music coming through. And as much as I don't understand anything that is being said, this music is touching me so deeply. And I've been listening to this music over and over again, to the extent where now I'm even hearing it in my head when I'm sleeping. And this is very much connected to a spiritual revival which is taking place. And this is why we are being asked to create alliances at this time, because what has happened on the planet for far too long is all of this divide and conquer. And whilst they've had all of us different, people bickering along each other, whether it's between man and woman, whether it's between the different races, whether it's between the different countries, so much division. And yet we are not the ones to blame. We're all essentially victims of this shitty system that we're living in. And instead of taking it out on each other, we really should be healing ourselves, creating alliances, and breaking the system apart, because we are the ones that have created the system. And the only way out of this is by elevating our consciousness, and by really seeing things for what they are, and creating not from a place of fear, but creating from a place of what is it that you desire to see moving forward. What is it that's going to bring you joy? What is it that you desire? What is it that's going to bring you more nurturing? What is it that is going to make you feel better in your life, as opposed to bringing more of these negative energies? And the way that that really begins with is our thoughts. So the next card we have is 11. How beautiful. And again, the energies here is Aquarius with collaborate. Remember, we are now in the age of Aquarius. We moved out of the age of Pisces and into Aquarius. And Aquarius energy, as I see the 11 here, this is all about the 2, and we have alliance and collaborate side by side here, because Aquarius energy is not about the me. Aquarius energy is about the we. And right now, too many people for so far back, it's been all about me, 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 not caring about what happens when I do me, what happens to we. Because most of the time when people think me, 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 never thinking about the we, well, they don't think about how our actions do actually affect other people, whether we want to admit that or not. Everything we do affects other people, because what we do for me affects me energy, and therefore me energy affects we energy, because my energy is constantly intermingling with the we energy. And that goes for all of us out there. We have to understand that me is part of we, and without we, me cannot exist. Because if you're trying to create the best life for yourself, and everyone else around you is in a shitty situation, that is going to affect you. Because even if you build walls high, high, high to keep all these, shitty things out of you, eventually, you can't be alone. Nobody wants to be alone. No man is an island. We need one another. And so we all need to work on me, so that we can create a stronger we can collaborate with one another, we can pour into each other's cups. Whereas now, the way the world is set up, we are all taking from each other's cups, drinking everyone's water, not really giving a shit about what the consequences are going to be. And so it is really about collaborating, and the only way to collaborate is to deal with our shit. The reasons why some people have difficulty working in groups is because, when we're with other people, we are reflected back to ourselves, even the things that we don't want to see about ourselves. And so this is why relationships can be all kinds of relationships can be challenging, is because people act as mirrors to show us the aspects of ourselves that we don't want to look at, and want to pretend, oh no, I'm not like that. But then when people try and tell these things to us, we're like, no, that's not me. Well, what if it was? And this is what is happening. We're being given the opportunity to look in the mirror and to pay attention to the parts of ourselves that normally we're like, no, that's not me. And it's okay if that is you, because you are only that way because you were wounded, you were hurt, and you created this persona in a way to protect yourself. And so really what you need to give yourself is love and compassion. And so if the energy of love and compassion is something that you are missing from your life, then I highly recommend that you go and look at last week's video, because that message was really a message from your ancestors, letting you know that what you need to give yourself is more love and nurturing at this time. Remember, we are on the healing journey with Chiron. And when you are going through a journey of healing, harshness is most certainly not the energy that you need to get through that. So the next card we have, interestingly, is Saturn with structure. And the numerology here we have again is 24, bringing us to a 6. And so Saturn, which is, you know, very sort of restriction energy. When I think of an archetype to demonstrate, you know, to explain what Saturn is about, I get the kind of the sort of the strict but loving father. And we all need that strictness in our lives, you know. So nobody likes to be told, no, that wasn't good, you shouldn't have done that. But at the end of the day, when we are told these things, we learn and we grow. And what is happening is that, you know, for one thing that we're definitely seeing at this time is that the structures of the world as we knew it is falling. They're falling apart. We're seeing it literally happening before our eyes. Our governmental structures are falling apart. The health system is falling apart. Our education systems are falling apart. All of these systems, the financial system is falling apart. All of these systems are falling apart. And when, you know, what we're being called to do at this time is really get expansive and look at the bigger picture, because as much as it all feels like there is so much chaos and negative shit going on at this time, you know, a message that I received very, very strongly in 2020 was, it is always darkest before the dawn and Africa rising. And that is exactly what we are seeing at this time. There is a lot of darkness, but before dawn comes, before dawn breaks, there is darkness. And it's so interesting. I'm being called to this card here where it is the rising of the phoenix. Yes, Africa rising. We are seeing Africa rise up again. These things that were accepted before, because the only reason why the world has been where it has is because, let's just face it, you know, Africa has been being pillaged, and the Africans have been so abused. And you know, and it's not only the Africans. We as humanity have been fucking oppressed. And so what we are seeing now is that as these structures fall, we are rising once again. This is our phoenix rising moment. And the message here is phoenix reborn, showing up for your calling, transcending time. And this is what is happening, is that there is a mass spiritual awakening that is happening at this time. And this is, many have heard the call inside. Many have realized that this can't be it. There must be something more. Something needs to change. Something needs to shift internally, externally, however it is that you are feeling this. But I can guarantee this, that if you have found this video, it is because you are going through this phoenix rising moment, and you are rising once again. You are transcending time. You are remembering who you truly are at the soul level. You are remembering that you are more than this, that you are an all-powerful, multi-dimensional being that has access to so much knowledge, that has access to so much power, so much wisdom that is stored within your DNA. And your DNA, dormant strands of your DNA, are being activated at this time, which is why we are seeing so many people having spiritual awakenings. Some people might be thinking that this is psychosis and that there are so many people having mental health issues, but I can guarantee you, what is happening now is that people are having a spiritual awakening. And I can tell you this, that when you have a spiritual awakening that happens fast and like this, and what is happening now is that people are being awoken at alarming rates, and they are being activated so fast that all your spiritual gifts are being turned on like this. But what is happening is that if you don't have the ability to comprehend that what you are going through is a spiritual awakening, I can tell you right now, you can think that you are going crazy. And this happened to me when I was going through my spiritual awakening back in 2017, where I thought that I was going crazy and I didn't know who to speak to. I was scared of telling people what was going on with me because I thought that they were going to think that I was fucking crazy. And so I just want to assure you here right now that if you are in a time where you think you are going crazy, I can tell you from personal experience that it is because you are going through a spiritual awakening and your dormant gifts are being activated. You are being taken through an initiation. And this is really, when we think about all the initiations that the African people would go through to initiate them into their spiritual, because everything is spiritual, and the Africans understood this very, very well before the colonizers came and eradicated their belief system and came and brought their white God and their white Jesus and all this fucking nonsense, which is absolutely not true and literally just served to imprison you, because the only power right now is spiritual power. And this is why we are being activated to remember our spiritual power. But if we fear our spiritual power, then we are pushing it away from us instead of embracing it, instead of remembering. And so what's been happening is that we are being reactivated. And this pulls me to these two shamanic cards here. We have the sun and the drum. And when we look towards all these, sort of initiations and all the rituals that were done in Africa and even in Native America, there was always drumming, because the drumming gets you into a very trance-like state that opens you up to receive energies from the cosmic sun, essentially. And this is what is happening, is that the cosmic sun, because we've all seen that the sun has changed, and this sun slaps hard when you're there in the sun. The sun is hot, I can tell you. But essentially we are being asked to drum and to get into these trance-like states so that we can receive the messages from the cosmic sun. So as we drum, we open ourselves up to receive messages from the higher realms. We're receiving messages. Remember, we are children of the sun. Why do you think sun worship was what was worshipped in all these ancient times? It is because they understood that the messages came through the sun. The sun is what activates our dormant strands of DNA. It is the cosmic radiation that is coming through the sun that is activating us. Remember, you are children of the sun. Move to the beat of your own drum. Do not move to the beat of other people's drum. It is time for you to remember what it means to be a child of the sun, a child of Ra, a child of the light. Because this is what has happened. We have been entrapped in darkness. And so as we go through these initiations, as we go through these rituals, which, because these rituals and these initiations were taken away when colonial belief systems were implemented on the African continent, essentially what is happening now is that life is what is initiating us. Life is the ritual. Life is what is helping us to remember that we are children of the sun, so that we may rise again as the burning phoenix. We have to remember who we truly are. And so the numerology we have from the sun again is a 6. That's 3 6s on the table, 666. And people will have you believe that 666 is the number of the devil, and that's fucking bullshit. 666 is the number of the divine feminine. 666 is the number of the divine, because 666 is literally encoded within your DNA, helping you to remember that you, my friend, are a god. You are divine. But you are as much divine as you are human, as you are animal. And this is what has happened. You have been trapped in your animal nature, forgetting that you are divine. Remember your divinity. And the next card we have here is Mountain. And for me, as soon as I look at this, what I get is Mount Kenya. Because most people forget that Mount Kenya is the center of the world, Mount Zion. We know that Mount Kenya is a portal through which spiritual energy is coming through. And this is why we are hearing all the Kikuyu songs coming from the people of Mount Kenya, because they too are being reawakened. They are being reawakened by the ancestral spirits of the mountain, helping them to remember who they truly are. And remember, we are the guardians of the mountain. We are the guardians of the most high energy. We are being asked to remember the divinity that was placed within us so that we can reactivate our spiritual abilities and regain freedom of our planet. And the messages here from the mountain are being grounded, connection between the earth and the heavens. Take your time, because you too are a mountain. When you stand strong in your foundation, you become immovable. And what this message is saying here is that when you become strong within your spiritual foundation, you are unbreakable. You are unmovable. Your power becomes so mighty. Think about the strength and the power of a mountain. Think about that energy exists within you. Think about the energy of Mount Zion, of Mount Kirinyaga. Think about the power of that mountain and embody the power of that mountain, because you were sent here to share that power. And the next message we have here is Fortress. Yes, as you stay strong, be that mountain, be between the connection between heaven and earth, because you, my friend, are a channel of higher dimensional consciousness. You, through your body, are anchoring in these energies and grounding these energies, literally shifting the frequencies on this planet and changing our reality. You might not think that that is what you're doing, but I can assure you that on a cosmic galactic frequency, this is what your soul is doing. And the more you bring your conscious mind and your conscious body in alignment with what your soul is doing, the more powerful you become, because you are doing it with consciousness. So you are a fortress, protection, security, seclusion, separation, rigidity. So if you have been finding yourself in seclusion, if you have been finding yourself in separation, if many people are saying that you are rigid, it is because you have had to isolate and separate to create this protection. Because you have been sent here to help protect. To help protect this earth, to help protect the ancient belief systems, to help protect this powerful spiritual energy which is coming back to the earth. And you are a seer. You are being asked to see beyond the current situation. Whatever messages you are getting at this time is messages of what is coming, messages of what is happening. And so it is important for you to share these messages. And now these messages can be shared in whatever way. You know, a message doesn't need to be shared to hundreds and thousands of people. Even sharing a message to one person, whatever messages you are receiving, whether they are through your dream space, whether they are when you are in meditation, when you are in contemplation, when you're just driving and are, you know, in your thoughts, because also being in a state of daydream is also being in a state of trance in order to open up to receive messages from the higher realms, from the ancestors, from the ancestral spirits, from the most high God, but also from deeply within yourself, from your soul, from your divine nature, from your higher self, from your godlike self. So what are you seeing that is beyond just this current situation? And essentially what this message is really pushing me to say is that don't take everything that you are seeing at face value. always question, what is beyond this situation? What am I not seeing? What is it that I need to see that I am not seeing? Always question, because whenever you question, remember they said, ask and you shall receive. So when you put the question out there and trust that the universe will bring it back to you, the universe will always bring it back to you. And the next card we have here is Magic Guardian. I love this card. Unlock the magic within. Yes, you are being reactivated as a high priestess, a high priest for the gentleman out there watching. But the high priestess, again, is also just an archetype of allowing spiritual information, spiritual wisdom, spiritual knowledge to be channeled through you from the higher realms. And magic exists in so many different forms. And what is happening at this time also is that magic is being revived. And, you know, this is what unfortunately Hollywood has done to make us think that magic is all these, you know, big things that we see on TV as so-called magic. But magic is very subtle, and magic is happening all around us. Magic is just this. Think about it. You think of someone and then suddenly they appear. Suddenly they call you. You think about something, suddenly it happens. That is magic. And that is the magic that you hold within you, because you are asking and you receive. But the more you trust that you have the ability to create whatever it is that you desire, you then think that you're not capable, literally minimizing your magic. And like, look at all this gold, and look at that, look at the color of her wings. She has been touched by the divine sun. And this card comes in right underneath the sun. So you are being activated in your magic by the sun. So spend time in the sun. The sun has information for you at this moment, and the more time you spend in the sun, the more information you will receive, and the more cosmically you are being activated. So the next card we have is healing the mother line. Healing ancestral work, mother line growing up. Look how beautiful this card is. Yes, we are being asked to reactivate the lineage of the spiritual mother. You know, this makes me think of Isis from ancient Egypt. And you know, Isis, the goddess mother, the mother goddess, has been worshipped before the patriarchal system took over, but the mother goddess energy has been worshipped through all different cultures from as far back as we can remember. And Isis had many names. She was known as Inanna, she was known as Venus, she was known as Aphrodite, she was known as Aset, she was known as far back as you go through time, through the mother goddess. And this is the energies that are being reactivated within us. And this is as much for the men as this is for the women, because it is the mother line, the feminine parts of us, the dormant parts, all those feminine qualities, love, beauty, nurturing, divine, divinity, divination, spirituality, beauty, all of these feminine qualities that have been taken away from us, all these things that we have been told are weak. But there is so much beauty. Think about everything that comes through the mother, the nurturing when you are in her womb. She literally carries you. She literally creates life within her body. You know, recently I was called to, you know, there's been so much information that has been coming through, and this might be a sensitive topic for some of you out there, but about the power of the menstruation cycle and the power of that blood. We have been taught to think that it is something disgusting and unclean, and yet it is literally life. It is the blood that gives life to the entire human race. And for women, when you are on your menstruation cycle, on your lunar cycle, when you are bleeding, you are literally creating life. And so it is important to honor these parts of ourselves, to honor the divine goddess, to honor the mother, and to honor the feminine. And when I hear in Kenya about all these, you know, these horrible murders that are taking place with women that are turning up dead, and the anyways, there's so much that I can't say, but this is literally an attack on the divine feminine. This is what we are seeing at this time. And so it is so important to heal these aspects of ourselves, to heal the mother line. If you right now are in not a good situation with your mother, then it is time to heal those wounds. And now I'm not telling you go and forgive and go and forget. It's literally just doing within, forgiving from within, because when we hold on to resentment and anger and shame and pain, the only people that we're hurting is ourselves. And so forgiving is just literally meaning letting go of not having to hold those energies within you, holding all those emotions within you anymore, because they are literally poisoning you. So the next card we have is Into the Unknown, Underworld, Depth, Courage, Facing Your Fears. Yes, jumping into the unknown, not being fearful, because when we go through this healing journey, it is uncomfortable, it is scary, it is forcing us to face our fears and to have courage to look at all of those things. And I can tell you, having been on the healing journey since 2017, it is not easy. But I can tell you that once you have lived the pain of all those traumatic experiences, you don't have to live them again. It is simply about honoring them, feeling them, and letting them go. And it can be uncomfortable to remember all these difficult things, as certainly things will come up as you revisit these more difficult aspects and experiences of your life. But once you feel them, you can put them to bed. You don't have to carry that dense energy. And we think that we have to be fearful of feeling them and letting them go, but actually holding on to them really tightly is what is keeping us in the state of low vibration and not allowing us to access the things that we most desire for ourselves and our lives. And so the next card we have is Bounteous, generously given, relationships coming together. Again, we had alliance, we had collaborate, and we have coming together. Now is not about being on the individual. There is no more time for me. Remembering now is about we. So how can you come together at this time? How can you create strong relationships that will in which there is a giving, there is a mutual giving, a mutual generous giving? Because when there are relationships where somebody is giving more than the other, and this is in terms of your energy, your time, just your emotions, if you are giving more than another person, then that relationship is not balanced, and there is something wrong there, something that needs your attention to. So the next card we have is the Rose Thread, Inner Call, Soul Led, the Mystic, Living Courageously. And this card comes under the Magic Guardian card. So you are being asked to live from your soul, to be led from your soul, to be the mystic. And the mystic really just means living from a place of soul, living courageously, following the inner call. And those of us who are following that inner call, it means that you might be you might appear as being strange or weird, or people might think you're crazy, and that's okay. Because if we think back through history, the people who advanced, who brought new information to light, who brought great change to the world, they were always considered crazy because they thought differently than the rest of the world. And that is what it means to be a leader. A leader, we all lead, Remember, we had the one at the beginning, which was all about being a leader and new beginnings. And being a leader is just following the path less followed, doing things differently, trying things a new way. And people might think you're strange at first, but eventually people catch up and people say, hey, this is actually really cool, we're gonna follow. Think about the people who create the trends. They just create the trends, and eventually everyone else just follows what they're doing, copies them essentially. So this is what you are being asked to do here, is by living from the soul, you are creating trends. Be the trend maker, not the trend follower. And last but not least, we have the Rose of Venus, alignment, flow, right relationships, harmony. Yes, all of this hardship is leading you to this. All of this pressure that you've been under, you are being asked, you have been essentially ridding yourself of all of the things that are not allowing you to be in alignment, that are not allowing you to be in flow, that are not allowing you to be in the right relationships, that are not allowing your life to be in harmony. So essentially, you have been on a journey, my beautiful people. You have been on this healing journey. This is what you have been on, and this is the gift that you have reached. This is where the universe has been guiding you. You have been activated. You have been sent here to remember that you are a child of the sun and your magic is needed at this time. Be the one who follows the calling of your soul. Even if people think you're crazy, even if people think that you're weird, do not be afraid to follow the calling of your soul, because this is what is going to continue to lead you and help you to stay in this state. You are transcending, my beautiful souls. You have transcended. You have reached the next level of your evolution. Now, do beautiful things with it. I hope this message has resonated. I thank you all for your support. I ask that you like and share the video with people who might resonate with this message and need to hear these messages of guidance. And in the meantime, I'm sending you so much love, so much strength, so much courage, and really more than that, congratulations for the incredible work that you have done on yourself. And I'll see you in next week's video. Bye for now.